because it keeps the creative juices flowing when you're suffering from the crippling writer's block that can sometimes plague you for months at a time. It keeps your brain from going to a complete grinding halt because you're working on something else. Okay. And sometimes you need to get away from your actual work in order to spark something. It also pushes the writer out of their comfort zone because you're forcing yourself to be able to write a variety of different characters in order to keep them from being too OOC or out of character. Like say you're writing a TMNT or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan fiction, which I have written. I've written a lot of it. I'm not gonna lie. Hello? Oh, it's on. Okay. The writer has to be able to adequately depict each of the individual brothers and their very different personalities. You can't write them all with the same jokes and lines. Each one has a different voice, a different way of just being, and you need to be able to write them correctly. Otherwise, the reader's going to be like, Mikey would never say that. Donnie would never make a butt joke. Come on. You know.
That was Raph.
Dick and butt jokes, yeah. Same thing with, say, Dragon Age, because you could be yourself. You could be pro-Templar, pro-Chantry, or pro-Mage, but you still, in order to write a convincing story, you need to be able to write both sides adequately, so it's not completely one-sided. You want the story to be balanced. So as much as it might raise your hackles to write for the Chantry or the Templars, or to write for the mages and not make them all out to be just the monsters that each other sees them to be, you need to be able to knuckle under and write a convincing Templar or a convincing Divine or Lord Seeker or what have you. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard because I am proudly pro-mage. I love the mages. I think the Templars can be really, but I realize not all Templars are like that. So I try my best to write them nicely. Fan fiction is also just a good introduction to writing in general. Not gonna lie, writing can be a very daunting task for somebody for even the most experienced writers. I mean, going into any new project, I'm usually overwhelmed in the beginning, just like, I have to get to what point? I have to do, how am I gonna do all of this? And writing can be scary. And fan fiction can be it's a good way for inexperienced writers to dip their toe in the water and to decide, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is something I can do, even if it's just for fun. You know? It's a good set of training wheels. It's a low-pressure way for inexperienced writers to find their individual voices and writing style, whether it be short and concise and to the point like Hemingway, or long and flowing descriptions like Tolkien and Martin. You know, everybody has their own voice, and fan fiction helps them to find it. By the way, if anyone has any questions, feel free to Kermit Flail or something. And while Mary Sue's and Gary Stu's will often come into play, they still nevertheless serve their purpose for neophyte writers who don't yet know how to write a well-balanced character. So while they can be annoying, every writer's guilty of writing them in the beginning because it's their first time. It happens because it's just, okay, I want her to be able to do this. Oh, I want him also to be able to do this and this and this and this and this and this. It's just like, oh my God, what have I done?
I have a story that I posted as a bad fic. I don't think I quite got into it wasn't a full-blown Mary Sue because I didn't have any non-canon characters that I used. But I think I did kind of edge it into some canon
Yeah, just like fan fiction, a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu, they have their purpose. They're essentially the training wheels or the training bra for a writer who has never written before. And the more experience they get, the more they realize, okay, it's time to back up on Little Miss or Mr. Perfect and try to give them a little more flaws, try to put a couple chinks in that perfect armor of theirs so they're not just perfect pillars of goodness that everybody wants to be and everybody wants to love, because nobody is like that in real life. And even though fiction is a way to escape reality, you gotta have a toe in reality, even just a little bit, because you have to have some sense of realism, in my opinion anyway. The cons, like, again, I don't mean cons, I mean negatives. Followers. At first glance, followers are a good thing, until they refuse to read anything else that you write that has nothing to do with their fandom of choice. Yes. When I published my first book, I was so confident that my plethora of followers would be chomping at the bit to buy it and to thereby get in on the ground floor of a brand new fandom, which is like, I have got over 500 followers on fanfiction.net. They will come flocking. Yes, I got this in the bag. They did not. All they wanted was more fiction for their fandom of interest. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Biker Mice from Mars. That's all they wanted. They didn't want anything else. And they did not hesitate in contacting me to the point of harassment in order to pressure me to publish a new chapter or to create an entirely new story specifically for them. Recently, a few months ago actually, I actually deleted all of my fics from fanfiction.net because they got pirated by another site. And basically, all of the fics were mirrored in real time to another site. So basically, every time you updated, it would update on the other site in real time. And that site was making money off of other people's fan fiction because of all the advertisements and all of that. So once I found out about it and I actually saw my fics on this other site, I deleted everything, because real time, I take them down, they're gonna be taken down. I posted a very long letter in my profile on fanfiction.net saying why I took everything down and said, sorry, I'm not gonna be doing this anymore. That didn't stop them from writing me messages on my website. So can you just send that story just to me? I really miss it. Can you just send it to me? I'm sorry about what happened, but can you just give me the story? Just like, no. I understand your enthusiasm and I appreciate it, but no. If you really like my writing, try my book. Literally a new fandom for you to get excited about. Yeah, no, I want your TMNT fix. That actually led me to removing the contact me box on my website because it just got too out of hand. Yes?
So if you're not using fanfiction.net, what site would you recommend for publishing fanfiction?
Archive of Our Own is pretty good. It's more secure. And Wattpad is also really good and secure.
And sometimes you can find...
And Wattpad actually has an app, a mobile app.
And some fandoms still do have specialty sites.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, if you like Buffy crossovers, Twisting the Hellmouth is still going strong.
Awesome. But yeah, Archive of Our Own is a good one. It's pretty well secure. They have an option to make your fics readable only by people who have accounts. So your average person who happens to be surfing and looking for fics can't just open it up and read it. You have to have a legitimate account in order to access the good stuff. And Wattpad also is a good one. And like I said, they have a mobile app. You can add stuff directly from your phone or on your tablet, and it'll just upload directly to the site, whereas Archive of Our Own does not. They have a reader. You can read. There's an app that you can read from the site, but you can't directly upload from your mobile device. So it's your personal preference.
What you can publish. I know fanfiction.net had restrictions on what they would accept. For example, I had an Archie fanfiction.
Okay.
And one of the ones they specifically say is that they don't accept it as anything from Archie comics. Does Archive of Our Own or Wattpad have the same restrictions?
As far as I know, they don't.
Archive of Our Own is pretty liberal on what they accept.
Yeah. Wattpad is a little... When it comes to NSFW stuff, not safe for work stuff, they're not opposed to having love scenes in a fic, so long as it's pertinent to the plot or what have you. The way that they word it, you're not allowed to post anything that is meant to arouse people. So I'm guessing if it was like a straight up porn without plot that was like the reader and whatever character, that would be a no-no. But if it's like between characters, and it of course has to be, they don't want anything with an adult character and an underage character that, just be smart about it. Don't do anything overtly creepy. No kiddie stuff. And they do have a rating system. You can rate it for teens or for adults. You can also have a 18 and over rating, so it's like, okay, you're not over 18, you can't read this, kind of a thing, and they will filter it. And Wattpad actually, it's not only just for fan fiction, you can also publish little original stuff of yours. It doesn't have to be directly related to any fandom. Say you've got like a Drabble, but you don't really want to try to publish. You don't really want to try to publish it because you don't think it's really worth that. You can put it on Wattpad. People will vote on it. People will comment on it, and you can still become a household name on the site, basically. And there are published authors who do publish snippets of their stuff, like little teasers and whatnot for their upcoming books. Amy Poehler did it. Felicia Day did it. They published like little snippets from a chapter. And I've got snippets of my books up there in the hopes it'll...
Generate interest.
Yeah, it doesn't always work because, like I say, they want my fan fiction. They don't want my original stuff. Bottom line is that while you might be fan fiction famous, you can't rely on your myriad of followers to be your cheering section once you try to actually make it as an actual author. And I'm not gonna lie, it's actually kind of disheartening. I was really let down. Just like, come on, guys, for me? The flip side of the fans are the overzealous fans that you get. The ones, and that's not so much of a con or negative, as much as just, it's a way of preparing you for the day when you do develop your own following, when you do decide to become a published author. There will come the day when you start seeing fan fiction of your original work popping up, and you will get excited. It's like, yes, I've made it. People are writing fan fiction of my stuff. Yes, I am finally on the map. Because it means that people are reading your stuff. It means that people are getting excited, and they're just like, I want to play in this sandbox because it's awesome. And you will get on this euphoric high. It's like, yes. Until you actually start to read the fic. I am not talking about skill. Let me just get that out of the way, because not all writers are on the same level of skill. Some are just starting, what have you. What I am talking about is fans going in and writing fan fiction based on your work while full-on breaking or simply ignoring altogether all of the lore that you spent countless of hours working on just so they can make their Mary Sue or Gary Stu fit into the world you created. And you're just like, no, that would never happen, no. That happened to me. There was this very excitable fan, and she did exactly that. She basically broke all of my lore to make her Mary Sue fit, and I was just like, okay, you're not playing in my sandbox. You threw out all the sand. Oh my God. So it's not so much of a con. It's just be forewarned, it will happen, and you just gotta roll with it, because there's really nothing you can do, and you don't want to discourage them. But at the same time, it's just internal screaming. It's like, but all those cons aside, fan fiction really does have its use, and I still use it. I use it as a writing tool when I suffer writer's block. You know, when my own original characters aren't speaking to me, then I go and I work on my Phantom fan fiction or my Dragon Age fan fiction, and I just work on something different, and then all of a sudden I'll be writing something for one of those characters, and something will just click in my head, and I'm like, that fixes the problem I'm having, yes! And then the fan fiction goes into the back, and then I go back to work on my actual thing. So while a lot of published authors may dismiss it as not real writing or a waste of time, I beg to differ, because it really is a useful tool to have in your arsenal, because it keeps your brain it keeps your creative juices from stagnating and just dying. So, and just resting on your laurels is the worst thing you can possibly do when you've got writer's block, because everything grinds to a halt, and then you literally have to rev up the engine when you're ready to start writing again, and that can be really hard, because you're just like, what the hell was I doing? Who are these characters again? Who are you? I forgot your name. Why are you here? And it's hard to get back on that horse once you've walked away. So I believe that fan fiction is more favor than foil, regardless of the negatives that do come with it. But it doesn't make it any less useful to me. And I hope that other people find it to be useful as well. I mean, you yourself wrote something for your senior thesis in college, and
free advertising.
Exactly. So.
I mean, there's plenty of stories and TV shows that I probably wouldn't have looked at twice if I had read a crossover fan fiction of something I liked.
Exactly. You're just like, wait, what's this character? Okay, maybe I'll check this out. Oh my God, I love this. Why has this not been in my life for longer?
It's like, sometimes it's as good as you think it is. Sometimes the fanfic writer is actually a better storyteller, but you still go back to the original so that
You can have some kind of point of reference.
It might not be good, but there might be something fun in that sandbox to use.
Yeah. And if you want to play in the sandbox, you got to have the proper tools, and that means writing, watching, or reading, or researching. That's what writers do.
It's just fan fiction. The research is going back to the source materials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully the researchers will actually treat the source material with care and respect. That's the dream. People writing fan fiction and playing nicely in the sandbox.
Do you think that should be an objective of writing fan fiction, is to kind of keep within those boundaries that area without going too far outside it?
I have no problem with things being bent. Because, I mean, you should make allowances for creativity. There's nothing wrong with bending the lore just a little bit, but there is a problem when you just completely, yeah, I'm just going to ignore that. This is the way it is. Because then at that point, you're not writing fan fiction, you're writing your own work, and you're basically using other people's characters to do it. And that's just cheating.
You may as well rename them for original characters.
Exactly. Because if you're not adhering to any of the lore of the world in which these characters exist, you're basically writing your own story and using someone else's stuff as your source material, and you're basically just making it yours, and that's stealing. It's cheating. It's not right. Huh?
That's called plagiarism.
Exactly. Might not. Okay, you are really loud. Might not be actual plagiarism as in they're taking everything in your book and publishing it as their own, but it is the same because they're taking your characters and making them fit into their world, and it's not right. It's something you gotta watch out for. Oh. Any other questions from anybody? Yes.
Controversy, whereas there's groups of people on like fanfic.net or archive of their own that go deep into slash territory, and then there's some that feel that's not something you should do with these beloved characters from a show. Like for instance, Supernatural has a lot of that, where they go really far, and they go sometimes far to the point where not a lot of things offend me, but to the point where it kind of offends me because they're my beloved characters from a beloved show. But what do you think about that controversy? Because there are people that are like, you shouldn't do that, and people that are like, hey, it's a free country, write what you want to write, it's only fan fiction. Is that even something worth discussing, or?
Honestly, I really don't have an opinion on that, simply because I have friends who are into the whole Wincest thing. I personally don't understand it. But for them it works because they're just like, no, you don't get it. What? See the scenes with, they're like, no, see the scenes where they're together and they're just, you can just feel the electricity. I'm just like,
Okay.
they're brothers.
Yeah. What I've seen, a lot of that comes from, it's the reaction of seeing two hot guys on together and they completely ignore the family. I've seen exactly one set of fanfics where it's handled, it basically handled well, and the characters know that it's messed up, they explain it in, how it got to that point. And it wasn't just because, we want to put these two guys together.
Yeah, I guess it would just depend on how it's handled.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
if
I
it,
said, I've seen exactly one fanfic that I think handled it right.
I mean, if it's handled well and not just throwing them together just so they can, it all depends on how it's handled, I guess. But I personally don't. It's like, okay, you do you. I'm gonna go over here. I'm not gonna cramp your style. You do you. But yeah. Any other questions?
Well, there's certain authors who really, like, doesn't George R.R. Martin?
Yeah, fanfiction.net they're not allowed to write anything for Laurel K. Hamilton or George R.R. Martin. I think there's another one.
J.D. Robb.
Thank you.
Comics.
Yes.
There's like a dozen of them on there.
Yeah, they will not have those categories, those standums for you to submit into. Other websites, are more lenient. I believe Archive of Our Own lets you do it. But yeah, fanfiction.net is just like, no, you can't do this or this or this or this or this. And don't even try to request that we add that fandom to our list because you're SOL. We're not going to let you do it.
They're still on there, but they'll be under like miscellaneous comments for production comments, or it might be under miscellaneous books for JD Robb or something.
And they'll often get, and if they get reported, they'll get taken down.
Yeah.
And
Because
they have,
J.K. Rowling was like that at first, I believe. I believe she was one of the restricted ones on fanfiction.net, but this would have been probably 5-10 years ago.
Like when the first one came out and she was.
I think it was like after the first couple movies came out.
yeah, it might have been, it could have been.
I don't remember that.
The film that wanted it off, not her.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, he hates fanfiction. He does not like fanfiction at all. So.
And Michael, was it Michael Card or Card wrote the Ender's Game?
Scott
Card.
Thank you.
She's another one that's on that list.
And Laurel K. Hamilton is another one. She doesn't want. Is Anne Rice one? I can't remember. It's been so long since. I've basically put fanfiction.net in my rearview mirror after that incident. So I'm just like, bye, Felicia. And of course, there's no way to delete your account, so I still get messages demanding, where's your story? Oh, I'm sorry, you had to take him down. Give it to me. Like,
Why can't you delete your account?
there's no way to delete it. I have checked that site. There is no way to delete your account. Unless they were to actually delete you for being rule breaking, being overly offensive to people, like cyberbullying and whatnot.
Can't you just request them to get rid of it?
Not really. You're pretty much stuck. So it's just like, damn it. Basically, so anytime I get a message from one of my fans from there, I just basically delete it because I know what they're going to ask. It's like, nope, trash, trash, trash. And you can only say no so many times before you just like, nope, delete, 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 delete. It's like, why don't you read my actual work? No. Well, fine, delete. I don't want your original work. I want biker mice from Mars. I want turtles. They're gone. They're not coming back. Get over it. No. Yeah, it's a fun little dance to do.
Oh yeah, another thing that can kind of break fan fiction is character bashing.
Yeah, character bashing, yes.
There's a writer on one of the sites that it wasn't fanfiction. I don't know if it was on fanfiction.net, but every fic starts out with a really kind of cool ideas, but at some point it would flip, and all of a sudden the characters would be just vicious towards particular characters. At that point, it's like, if you hate these characters, why are you writing them?
Especially if the viciousness is completely OOC. I mean, if it pertains to the subject matter and if they're genuinely hostile towards said character in the show or in the book, then that's fine. But if they're just doing it to be assholes, then no. Stick with the thing. Stick within. I mean, I'm all for character growth and character evolution, but there's a difference between a character evolving and a character just being an ass just because.
There's characters that in canon are friends doing it to each other.
That's just wrong. Because that's when you start making the character out of character, and it wrecks the story. It's like, if you don't like a character, then just don't write them, or reduce their role in the story to just little things, little bit. Or send them on a vision quest or something. Give them a reason to not be in the story. Just don't write them. So, yeah. Any other questions? Anyone? No.
In your opinion, what do you think is the most popular fan fiction going on right now?
Attack on Titan, I think. There's a huge following for that. Of course, Supernatural. That's always. Yeah, Doctor Who. Yeah. Any.
Potter still gets a lot too.
The latest one was Dumbledore's death.
What?
Yeah.
He's a what? I didn't hear you.
Dumbledore's death.
And then I think Buffy still gets a lot of pretty good
Yeah.
following.
Buffy, and then there's of course the fans of all things BioWare, Mass Effect, and Dragon Age. That's always going to be going strong.
Star Wars,
Yes,
Star Trek.
yes. There's a lot of big ones. Lord of the Rings, big ones. But at any given time, there's going to be a lot of different ones that are really heavy hitters. There is no real ebb and flow. They usually end up going strong. And
Either make it as a fandom or they just kind of stay niche.
and there are times when fan fiction can be a good group effort. I mean, I started writing a fic for Dragon Age. It's set in an alternate universe. The characters were there, but it was set in like a modern era. Circle was an actual organization that hunted down mages, and I don't know if you've played Dragon Age 2, but there's a character named Justice who is a spirit who possessed Anders. Justice I actually turned into a mage organization. So, I'm playing in the sandbox, I'm tweaking things just a little bit, and my friend actually started to join in the fic with me and we started writing it together, and it's a fun team effort. And she's like, oh, what about if we did this with this and this? I'm like, that would be perfect. We'll put it right here. And so yeah, it's fun for all, so long as you honor the house in which you're currently playing. So, anything else? No? Well, that's all I got. So,
But I'm not sure how to word it.
okay.
I'm working on it.
All right.
For somebody who is trying to start out writing,
Yes.
would fan fiction be a good start?
Oh yeah, it's a good way to get your toe in the water and find your voice and your writing style, because not every writer's the same.
I hated writing until I discovered fan fiction. And I found all these cool stories about characters I love. And it's like, after a point, I just kind of decided, hey, I want to start playing.
Yeah, true. I mean, before I started writing fan fiction, my only experience writing was essays for school.
Boring.
Yes, boring, and you had to make sure every paragraph had so many sentences, and
You had to hit a certain word count. And
exactly, and you're just like, I hate writing. And then one day I got a wild hair up my butt, and I decided I am going to write Eric, from Phantom of the Opera. I am going to write him a happy ending, damn it, because he deserves it. And so that was my very first foray into fan fiction. I wrote him a a very lovely, sweet girl to go off into the sunset with. And I was just like, that was kind of fun. I must do more. And then it began. And then I started dipping my toe into different fandoms, anime, and I kind of let it go by the wayside when I went into college because I was trying to get published. And I was like, I don't have time for that. Meh. I have things to do. And then I started getting back into it a few years ago. I was looking through some old files and I found some of my old fics, and I was looking at it just like, wow, this is bad. I need to fix this. So, it was actually a fic for Vision of Escaflowne, and I was just like, oh my God, I can't save any of this. Start over!
When you think of the various story formats, for example, script versus prose versus, I've seen poem and song stuff too.
In regards to fan fiction?
Yeah. You think they're all useful?
Oh yeah. I mean, I wrote some poems for Labyrinth that I put up on Wattpad. I wasn't really sure how to work an actual story. I mean, I love Labyrinth. I love the movie and the music, and I was just like, frick it, I'll write some poems. So any kind of medium will work. I mean, if you wanted to write a script for whatever fandom you happen to be in, that's fine. It's a way of doing it, and if it feels right to you, then go ahead. Likewise with poetry or just straight up prose. And the prose can be anything from a little one-shot to
An epic.
which I'm not gonna lie, all of my fics tend to be. I can't do one-shots very well. I've tried, and I failed. They end up getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until I'm just like, oh my God, they didn't plan this. Why? I just wanted to do one little thing. Why did it get so huge? But, I go where my muse takes me, basically. I've long since given up any illusions that I'm the one controlling the show. Because even in my own work, I will have a plan in mind, and I will be writing towards that. And in the back of my head, I get this little niggling feeling like, no. Go this one. I'm like, no, we're doing that. No, we're going to. Fine, we'll do it your way. And then it ends up.
You over the head with a blue bat.
Thank you. Giant mallet. My muse hits me over the head with a giant plot bunny, just like, bang! Do it this way! So I just kind of begrudgingly do it, and then I realize, oh wow, that is better. I don't care if we went off-road, this is better! Anything else? Anything from the peanut gallery? No? Okay. Thank you for coming.